So when I started coaching, my revenue was about 20 grand in January. This month, my revenue is sitting at 53,000 to close out this month so far. Hi, I'm Lindsay Watson. I am the owner of CleanCo Cleaning Solutions. We are based out of Derry, New Hampshire. CleanCo was born in April of 2021. Ever since I was younger, I always worked a bunch of jobs and I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. And so after high school, I worked a number of different jobs, a bunch of part-time jobs. After high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I did know I wanted to go into nursing. So I got a degree or a license in nursing assisting, and then I started nursing school. I went through nursing school twice and didn't quite make it all the way through just because I felt like nursing was so much more than school, and I could do the clinical part of it, but I wasn't very good at the book part of it. I kind of just got by. After that, I was an LNA for about 10 years, and then I decided that I wanted to go into health insurance and work in an office job because I had a baby. So I switched career paths, and I found that I was working at same jobs, working and building systems and structures within departments in these insurance companies, and it happened twice. That's when I knew it was a sign, because the first company I worked at, I was in the data department. I helped restructure it because it was a newer company, and so I didn't realize that how much of a hand I had in that. It got to that point, right, where you've helped them build this department all over again, and then when you think that you're gonna get the management position or whatnot, they give it to somebody else. So I found that happened to me twice. In 2021, I decided to start CleanCo because I like to be a leader and I like to work with people, and I felt like I had a bigger purpose to fulfill in life than what I was doing, and I just couldn't quite figure it out. Cleaning was something I love to do, cleaning and organizing, so I said, you know what, I'm gonna research as much as I possibly can how I can start a cleaning company, what it would take, and I did all the right things at first, or so I thought. And I decided to just go for it. I had banked a bunch of hours, PTO and time off at my previous job, and I essentially took off an entire month before I actually quit. And after getting clients and working for 2 months out in the field cleaning, by the third month when I had taken off all the PTO I possibly could, I said, I'm quitting, here's my 2 weeks notice. I just went all in, and nobody was happy for me. Nobody was excited I did that. I left a corporate job, especially my parents, and I started this business. And so I knew it would not fail if I wouldn't let it fail. So that's how CleanCo started. And I really do like that part of my story, because I feel like just going for something, even when you don't have the support, is so hard. But I feel like a lot of people are in that position a lot of the time, especially when it comes to cleaning companies and whatnot. I just did it. I had faith and I was able to start it. So when I first started, I didn't know what it was gonna take. I just knew that there were a number of problems I faced while I was growing. And the biggest thing is I didn't know what I didn't know. So learning along the way and the research in the beginning really helped me, but you don't know until you're going through those things, that the information that you don't have yet that you need to learn, and it's always changing. So I think especially with hiring and pricing and rates, that was always something I struggled with. Still to this day, right? Hiring and retaining good employees is obviously getting easy, and so isn't pricing. But in the beginning, the biggest struggles, I would say, was definitely building a team. So I always knew I wanted to grow a business, and that would require hiring help. So for the first 6 months, I was on my own as a solo cleaner, and then I got to the point where I was able to create enough materials to feel confident to hire on some help and have them start with me. And it just happened to be a friend of mine, so that was easy enough. And we worked together for a long time until I was ready to be able to do more, to feel confident that I was able to hire more help to grow the business. Because at the end of the day, I didn't have a set goal of where I wanted to take my business or how many cleaners I wanted to have. I just knew I wanted to keep hiring until I had a great team and the business was growing. And I never thought, I guess this goes back to how hard it would be to get great help and retain great help, especially when I didn't have the experience and I didn't have somebody to, bounce these things against, to say, hey, this is not working for me. How would you have done it? So I think that's been a huge thing, is just learning throughout the years how to hire the best help that you can and be the leader that they need. Before I found Logan and Katie, I also did grow my cleaning company, and then I've done a number of other just general business coaching programs. So investing with Logan and Katie has helped me tenfold. I trusted Logan and Katie from the start because I believe through the other program I met somebody who then turn led me to you guys, and I felt we aligned. I followed the information and just how Logan presented everything, and I felt that, coming from that previous program and other programs where, they have it in your face, like, oh, give me all this money up front, like, and you don't know what they can offer you. I think that is really hard to invest in people when they're just like, give me your money, but like, I have nothing to show for it, or I don't have anything to back this up. Logan and Katie were super transparent, and I feel like in the beginning, I was just like, yeah, this makes sense to me, and I would be happy. And as soon as they were like, I think I remember you were like, okay, I'm gonna start charging. I'm like, yeah, you do that. Like, everybody in this group should definitely just give you money right now that has been here from the start. And I remember reaching out to one of the other girls that's in the group and just being like, yeah, like we should all just like give them money because this has helped us so much. And I don't know how long it was before you even started asking for a payment, but I just remember being like, yeah, take my money, please. Like, that's how people should do it. And that's how I feel like I would want to do it. So I started my one-to-one coaching with Katie. It was February 11th of 2025. I had been following you guys for, I think, since 2022. It was implementing these things over time, but I just knew that I needed more of that one-to-one, because every time I thought I'd get to a point where I'm like, I know this, I can do this on my own now, something would happen. I'm like, see, like if I had somebody to just ask these questions to and really dig deeper into this, I probably could get ahead. And so January of 2025 was the biggest dip I took in revenue and business when I lost a bunch of clients and one cleaner. So what turned out to be one cleaner just kind of took my business where I was not anticipating her to take all these clients and I wasn't prepared for it, and we had such a great month prior. I should have been more prepared and I wasn't. So either way, I realized at that point that I didn't want to keep going through those cycles, and that's why I reached out for coaching. So when I started coaching, my revenue was about 20 grand in January. The month prior in December, I think I had hit like 30 something, and that was like my highest to date. And then we dipped down to like between 18 and 20,000 January into February. This month, my revenue is sitting at 53,000 to close out this month so far. Yeah. And it hasn't been easy. But I see now the value in talking about, that between, the 20 to the 50 or the 20 to the 60. And I talk to Katie on the calls all the time about, the one thing she'll say, I always say is like, I just don't know how I'm gonna do it. I just don't have the bandwidth. And I bring up that word burnout and all these other things, and that I don't have the time. And at the end of the day, sometimes you have to go through those things in these months where you're just like, I feel like I've been stagnant and not being able to process through like the mindsets that like keep us stuck. I feel like I'm shedding those layers, right, and breaking free of that. And that's why the revenue is growing. And this week was kind of like not a great week once again, but like the way that I am reacting to the bad things or the things that kind of like would set you back for, days or weeks or months, I'm just looking for the solution right away. And like, if I can't figure it out right then, like what can I do like tomorrow or the next day to make sure that we can bounce back from this even faster? So I think with hitting the 53, now it feels like a breeze, but also that, that's what I'm gonna keep telling myself, because it's only as hard as we make it in our mindset. And I think that's the biggest thing that for me I struggle with is my mindset and how hard I've made it seem to get here. At the end of the day, it's hard, but like if I had just let myself, exist in the pain and like, figure out like where I was struggling the most instead of just being in overdrive, I'd probably be able to manage my emotions better and be able to just see everything kind of like clear. But I think with, the 40 to the 50 and then, getting that help and truly being okay with what I'm able to offer others, like in leadership, is where I need to really focus right now, because I would love to get help and find a VA and an office person. That would be great, but I'm not there yet myself. So if I could give one specific example of how my life has improved with this growth, it would be with consistency, repetition, and determination. Any goal is obtainable when you put your head down and work. The results speak for themselves. This has improved my life. I know trusting the process will lead me to higher revenue goals, which obviously is what I'm focusing on. These are the things like the daily mantras that I go through, and just knowing that repetition and staying committed are, big, and that there is enough time in the day to do it all and be better at time management. My advice to anybody looking to take this course, I've learned that one of the best things you can do for yourself and your business is invest in mentorship, and I've always felt that way and believe that. To find people who've done what you are trying to do, they'll help you go further, faster, with a lot more confidence. And there are so many coaching programs out there, but the right ones, those are led by people who genuinely want to see you win, who show up with integrity and heart. Those are the mentors you want on your team. That's Logan and Katie. That's it.
I see myself and Lindsay so much on our coaching calls. You're probably my hardest client to coach, but also the easiest because I see her faults and I'm like, they're my faults. We're both sympathizers. And there's a difference between sympathy and empathy. And when you sympathize for people, you create entitlement. And watching Lindsay's stories that she shares in her mind with me out loud, and me going through the process with her of reframing those and speaking those new stories out loud to her, to now on our coaching calls, Lindsay comes with her struggle story and she transitions that story herself into a success story. We all have struggle stories. She's vulnerable enough to tell me her struggle stories. I used to be able to communicate to her the new success story, and now watching you unfold that new success story in your own verbiage and like you coming to that, I mean, 83 is, it's not gonna be a breeze like she said 53 was, but it'll be easier now.
That's the story I'm telling myself right now.
Now that you have the ability to basically fast track time by condensing problems.